Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, August the 19th. I hope everybody had a wonderful work week. And for those of you who are off this weekend, those of you who have to work this weekend, I'm sorry, but that's part of your position. I guess you already knew that when you were hired. So, God bless you anyhow. It's good to have a job nowadays, even though all over the world there are shortage in every profession, especially teachers and police officers and firemen, essential workers that we need, healthcare providers. The jobs are out there, but people are just so unhappy that they're either choosing to leave their jobs because of the lack of pay and other issues that has caused a terrible shortage all over the place. But just the same, we are grateful for those who are working in these fields. We appreciate you. Just in case you don't hear it enough, I'm talking to all healthcare workers, our police department, our firemen, our soldiers, and I'm really talking to probably the most important profession, and that is being a parent. Yes, I'd like to thank all the parents out there, mothers and fathers, doing what is right according to the will of God for your family. A special appreciation for them as well, grandparents included and great-grandparents, because you have a lot of grandparents that are actually doing it all over again with their grandchildren and great-grandparents alike. So God bless them as well. But anyway, thank God it's Friday, whether you have to work or not. Let's start this thing. We're going to use two sound sayings this morning. We'll start off with Hebrews 9:28. It says, "Unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation." Unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation. The back is coming from Ephesians 6:16. And it says, "Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked." Yes, the wicked do and continue to shoot darts. But if you have on your outfit, your shield of salvation, your helmet, you can quench these darts. But if you're out there naked, worshiping an unknown God, then as I said to you before, you're on your own. All right. The second one is coming from Proverbs 3:6, and it says, "In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path." Acknowledge who? God. There is only one, and he has a son, only one. His name is Jesus Christ. He's the one that died for all of us in our generation and the generations to come. Okay? If you're worshiping that God, then you are highly blessed. Let's read that again. "In all thy ways acknowledge God, and he shall direct thy paths." What does that mean, to acknowledge him? Acknowledge him in all you do. That means in all thy ways. In all you do, acknowledge God. So that means that if you are acknowledging God, no one will be able to tamper with your integrity. No one. If you are acknowledging God, your integrity will remain intact all the time, regardless of the gain. Your honesty, your truthfulness, there will be no level of deception in you at all. Okay, why? Because Those are your ways. And your ways should acknowledge God. If you don't know what to do about a situation, I always say, what would Jesus do? If I can't figure out what to do in a situation, that's what I say to myself. What will my Lord do in this situation? Okay? So do the same. And he will tell you what to do and how to go about it. Period. Okay? The back of it is coming. Let me repeat this one more time. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall what? Direct thy path. And not only does he direct thy path, he also directs your stops. Every last one of them. Okay? Speaking of stops. I'm going to say this one time. If you're going from A to B, from B to C, A is one state, B is another, C is another state. Try your best. If there are any elders between those three locations that belong to thee, that are still alive, try your very best to see them. They don't have to just be elders. They can be family members. Try your best to see them. Don't make excuses. Okay? Because in these days, they're not living to be 60 and 70 and 80 years old. They're dying at 34, 24, 46. Don't assume that you have time. For tomorrow is not promised to you. Don't make excuses for not stopping by. Don't let it trouble you the distance you have to go. Because when them people are gone, that means they're no longer on earth, you will miss them dearly. And please, of all the people that you walk by, that you feel that it's not important, to stop by and check on them. The ones you do stop by and check on, you may not have them to stop by and check on, because God don't like ugly. You're not to show favoritism to one family member over the other at all. And you are never to be concerned about the trouble you take to go and see somebody. Because nowadays, you get in a car. Nowadays, you have an airplane. Nowadays, you can board a bus. You can board a train. It's not like you have to do what Jesus did. Walk from one place to another. Did you hear me? You don't have to walk from one state to another. And since you're no longer walking, you can't use inconvenience as an excuse. Hope I'm talking to somebody this morning. Check on your parents. If they didn't do a thing for you, so what? Check on your parents. All right. Let's talk about a body part today. Actually, we have quite a few wonderful body parts. All of them are wonderful indeed. You have some that are internal. You have some that are considered external, internal. You have some that are external. Okay? Our skin is the largest organ in our body. This is going somewhere, so don't lose me now. The skin is the largest organ in your body. God made it. He made it for a purpose. It fits just fine. He even made them beautiful shades of colors. Okay? That is your largest organ. You also have some that is an external organ. It embraces all the other delicate organs like your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your lungs. These are all internal organs that we have. I'm just naming a few. There's much more. You have some organs that are considered muscles. Okay? And one of these muscles we're talking about is called the tongue. That is an internal organ, a very important internal organ. Okay? These organs, such as your lungs, your brain, your kidneys, all of these organs have to function properly in order for you to live a good, productive life. If there's any problem in your lungs, in your brain, in your heart, then that makes life a lot difficult to live, because why? These organs are not properly functioning. Okay, the heart may be weak, the lungs may be infected, the liver may be infected. So all of these diseases can impact your quality of life. But today we're going to talk about a very small organ. It's an internal organ. Sometimes it can be an external organ. But it's a very powerful organ indeed. It helps us with chewing. It helps us with speaking. It helps us with our taste. It even helps us with breathing. It helps us make sounds. This organ is in your head. It is called the tongue. It is an organ that we use every day, and we think very little about the significance of this organ. Well, so happens the Bible speaks of this organ, and God tells us that this organ we cannot control. That's what he says. It cannot be controlled. You cannot control your tongue. Only God can control this tongue of yours. It may seem to you that you have full control of your tongue, but no, you do not. All right? So this organ, your tongue, is a muscle organ in your mouth that aids in chewing, speaking, breathing. It helps keep airflow open. That's why it helps you with your breathing. It helps you with tasting and making sounds. You use your tongue. Okay? In the Bible, this is how the tongue is described. The tongue is described as a fire, an element of God, a fire. It can also be described as a tool, a sword, a double-edged one. It says the tongue is described as a fire, a whirl of evil among the parts of the body. No other part of the body helps you with speaking, so that's what makes it evil among all the parts of your body. It is the only part that aids in speech. This gives it power. It is a powerful muscle. Are you still with me? Cool. Okay. How is it powerful? It corrupts the whole body. It sets the whole course of one's life on fire if used improperly. It can curse thee if you use your tongue improperly, especially to someone that you should have great respect for. Hear me now. Hear me now, because this generation don't believe in curses. But I'm telling you today, you better watch that tongue of yours. If that tongue makes you feel bad, then you are a fool. If you boast about what comes out of your mouth, then you too are a fool. Because you can think anything you want to think, but don't let it slip out of that mouth. Don't involve that tongue in what you're thinking. Only say what is appropriate with that tongue. And itself sets on fire by hell. Yes, that tongue can lead you straight to hell. All right. Proverbs 12:18 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. Let your fruits be good. Let your words be appropriate unto God, not to yourself, not to your mama, not to your husband, but let them be appropriate unto God. Let your motives be appropriate unto God. Let your words be pleasing to his ears. Proverbs 12:8-21 says, a gentle tongue is a tree of life, but perversion in it breaks the spirit. You can break the spirit of your mother, father, brother, sister, friend with the perversive tongue. You can antagonize someone with a perversive tongue. That's right. Okay. Proverbs, the tongue is also spiritual. It can behave like humans expect it to behave, and it can behave divine. Human, we're speaking, we're laughing, we're doing the human thing with our tongue. Divine, how does your tongue behave divinely? Speaking with the tongue in the spirit. A language that is not understood by man. That is when your tongue is being divine. So not only is it powerful, not only can it be fire, a double-edged sword, it can be a healer as well. And it can be spiritual. It's a powerful muscle now. Be mindful and give God the glory and let him, the only one who can tame your tongue. Okay? Proverbs 12:14 says, reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing, good counseling, encouragement, honesty, and it brings out the truth appropriately. All right, so with that said, we're going to be reading from James, our Lord's brother, who believed him not while he lived. But he certainly contributed to the writing of this Bible. And he had a special piece on the power of the tongue. Chapter 3. It's not long at all, only 18 verses. So why don't we just munch on these words. Taming the tongue. Not many of you should presume to be teachers, my brother, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly, and this is true. And if the Lord has made you a teacher, and you're doing all kinds of wickedness in his house, you will be shamed publicly. Every time. Just like all the others that suddenly rise up strong, then you don't hear from them. Or, worst case scenario, they end up in the coffin. When God could have had many, many, many more years of use of them, greed got in the way. Teaching that which the Lord is not speaking got in the way. Behaving in abominable conducts got in the way. Doing their own thing got in their way and shortened their lives. So be mindful if you're a teacher. That's why me, myself, I always kneel before I teach, that I may not sin against my Lord. Let's continue. Not many of you should presume to be teachers, my brother, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. We all stumble in many ways, and we do. If anyone is never at fault in what he says, he is a perfect man, and there's no such thing. Able to keep his whole body in check? Impossible. When we put bits into the mouth of the horse to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal around. Yes, sir. Through those bits, you control that beast. Or take ship as an example. Although they are so large and are driven by strong winds, they are stirred by a very small rudder wherever the pilot wants it to go. Likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Yes, Lord. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The tongue also is a fire, a word of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole person, sets the whole course of his life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. All kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and creatures of the sea are being tamed and have been tamed by man. But no man can tame the tongue, not even the tongue of a beast. It is reckless evil, full of these deadly poisons. Yes. That's how some people use their tongues to tell lies, to cause division, to deceive, to poison the minds of others against their family members. But no man can tame the tongue. It is a reckless evil, full of deadly poison. With the tongue we praise our God, the Father, and with it we curse man, who has been made in God's likeness. You have to be careful with that cursing, by the way. And I'm not talking about cursing like cursing someone else. That's not the cursing I'm speaking of. You have to be careful with that curse. Be very careful with it. Because if you attempt to curse a servant that belongs to God, that curse will come and fall upon thee. That's why I said be careful with it. Because it's not like a bird that you can see. It is a bird that you can't see. And when it comes out of your mouth, that bird flies and lands on the right head. I hope you're listening. Out of the same mouth come praises and curses. It should not be like this. You can't praise the Lord with that same tongue and then curse your brother out in the middle of church service or in the parking lot. You cannot have salt water and spring water in the same body of water. So your song should be the same. My brother, this shall not be. Out of the same mouth come praises and curses. My brother, this should not be. Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? Absolutely not. My brother, can a fig tree bear olives or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring produce fresh water. Two kinds of wisdom. There's worldly wisdom and there's heavenly wisdom. Worldly wisdom sounds like this. He shows me respect and I'll give him respect. No, that's worldly wisdom. Heavenly wisdom sounds like this. Respect is granted to everyone. Everyone. Even your enemy you ought to respect. It is a given. It don't make no difference if that gentleman is dressed in a dress, pink hair, and high heel shoes. You ought to just respect that individual. Still. You don't have to say ma'am. You can say sir. That's the respectful thing. Who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show it by his good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, of the devil. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder in every evil practice. And believe it or not, couples can envy each other I don't know how this happens. How you go from supporting one another to being jealous of each other. That's foolishness. That's worldly. Heavenly is we support one another in every way. Period. Worldly is, I listen to what you're saying and care not about what you're saying. That's worldly. Heavenly is, I listen to what you're saying and tell you the truth. That's heavenly. That's good counseling. That's helping you see your way clearly. Keeping you out of trouble. Encouraging you. Okay? You are not to use the tongue to discourage someone unless you're discouraging them of doing evil. But if they are doing good, you use the tongue to encourage them. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace raise a harvest of righteousness. So with this tongue, we can choose to be destructive or we can choose to be wise. In the same way, in life we choose life or death. Just always choose life, and always choose to use your tongue in a way that is pleasing unto God. Thank you very much for listening to us here at Spiritual Order. My name is Brenda Guerrero. Please have a wonderfully safe weekend. If you're not working tomorrow, just take a day off and do nothing. Just leave it all for the next day and enjoy your Sabbath. If you must do something enjoyable. And above all, may the peace of God be upon you, the protection of God surround you, and may the peace of God be upon you. Thank you for listening. Have a great weekend. See you again.